This is the Champion Forum podcast with Jeff Hancher, the forum for leaders, champions, and dreamers.
Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. We're going to do something a little bit different over the next 4 weeks. We're going to be embarking on a 4-part episode series, and I'm going to be breaking down 4 high-impact leadership phrases. You know, these are going to be short, very intentional things that leaders can say that carry a whole lot of weight. They're going to help you as a leader to build deeper trust with your team, and they're going to help you move your team forward. But maybe you're listening and you're asking, you know, Jeff, why focus on just a couple words? Why dedicate an entire episode to just a few words in a phrase? Here's the deal. In all of my leadership tenure, when I look back on the great leaders that I've been around, here's what I know. Words shape culture. Words set the tone. Words invite trust, or they can shut it down completely. We have words. We certainly have actions, but words can carry a lot of weight. And as a leader, your words are always carrying more weight than you probably can ever even imagine. You can have the right strategy, and I hope that you do. You can have tremendous vision, and I think you should. You can have the most talented team ever on the planet. But if your communication falls flat, trust will begin to erode, momentum will stall, and you will be wondering, why is all of this happen in spite of all the other great things that I'm doing? On the other hand, one well-placed phrase at the right time, in the right moment, in the right setting, it can de-escalate any tension that we inevitably are pursuing every day. You face tension, no question about it. Imagine just one well-placed phrase can de-escalate tension. This phrase can create clarity that your team needs. It can model accountability, or it can rally your entire team around what really matters in the moment. These high-impact phrases, they're not fluff. I'm not here to give you fluffy, cool leadership jargon. These are repeatable tools that are going to be in your leadership tool belt that you're going to be able to use in real conversations that are going to drive real outcomes. I want you to think about this. Most people, and maybe I'm certain that it's you included, you remember a boss who said something that it stuck with you. It stuck with you good, it stuck with you bad, but you can remember a boss who said something even 15 years ago and it just stuck with you. I wonder if more of your words were the ones that stuck for the right reasons. We've all had bosses that said something that stuck with us for the wrong reasons. But do you remember those moments, those leadership golden moments where you were led by a leader that said something and it just transitioned the way you thought? It transformed the way that you moved forward. It just made sense to you. The light bulb went off. That's what we're talking about. That's why we're doing this series, to put these powerful tools in your leadership tool belt. It takes literally seconds. It's not going to take you a long time to say these. Simple, no question about it. But what I'm going to help you do is not just hear these sayings, but I'm also going to show you how to execute them in your day-to-day conversations. When we get this type of leadership vocabulary, it can create years of lasting impact. So today we're going to start with a simple phrase to get this series launched out. And it's just 5 words. And I will tell you, these 5 simple words, they're going to immediately improve your leadership conversations. You ready for the 5 words? Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Sounds pretty basic, right? But I don't want you to underestimate these 5 words. These 5 words can unlock honesty. They can deepen trust. They can turn surface level riffraff and surface level chatter into real meaningful dialogue. And let me explain why this phrase works so well and how you can start using it right away. Here's what I've come to find. Many leaders, under pressure, under tension, under all the things that leaders face, They rush to respond to something. Something happens, they're very reactive. They're rushing right in to say something. Oftentimes what we're doing is we diagnose before we really understand what's going on. We give advice before we even begin asking questions. And when we do that, what happens ultimately is we start shutting people down. They don't feel heard. They feel handled. They feel dealt with, if you will. And who wants to be dealt with? Nobody. What we all want, including you listening, is to be heard. But here's what great leaders do. They don't just respond. They don't just react. They don't just feel the tension or see what's going on and jump right in. They do something a little bit different. The greatest leaders, they stay curious. They slow the conversation down. These are all things that create what I like to call leadership composure. And when someone shares something, especially something emotional, maybe something vague, maybe something that's very tense, these great leaders, they just lean in a little bit with this little level of curiosity. And they say, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. You know, this phrase, as simple as it is, it does three very, very powerful things. It shows a genuine curiosity. You're not trying to fix, move on and just fix something and just kind of throw it under the carpet. What you're doing by saying these words is you're inviting depth of conversation. You're curious. You want to know more. I'm not looking for surface level chatter here. I'm inviting depth into this conversation between me, the leader, and the teammate that I'm leading. What else this does for you as a leader is it buys you time to listen versus this always trying to be on as a leader, always trying to have all the right answers. Good luck with that. I have not found the formula to that just yet. So when you ask this question of, tell me more about that, this phrase, it allows you time to listen. And listening allows you to what? It allows you to process. And as you begin to process, it allows you to think. Now you can respond logically. You don't need to jump in with a solution right away. You just need to create a little bit of space. And building space is a great thing because what does this do? When I'm asking this question, it's also building trust because it says, I don't need to just tell you what to do. I want to learn from you. How did you get here? Why did you want to do it that way? Tell me more about that. When people feel safe to open up, they'll tell you what's really going on. Have you ever wanted as a leader that superpower of what are they really thinking? Like, I forget the movie, but, there's a movie, I think it's with Jim Carrey, where he can literally hear what people are saying. Like, wouldn't you want that superpower one time as a leader? Maybe not. That could literally blow up in your face if you really knew how people felt about you, right? But we will never acquire that power. But what we can do is ask the right questions to get below the surface and open up this dialogue, create a safe place, start to build this bridge of trust so that people feel like they can open up and tell you how they're really feeling. That doesn't always mean you're going to get a great response and it's going to be favorable, but it's better to know. This phrase is especially helpful when a team member starts to give you vague feedback. Have you ever gotten this, you feel like you're kind of dancing around the subject, they're not telling you all the information, it's a little bit vague, and instead of you just blowing up and saying, can you get to the point, which is what you want to say, you say, tell me more about that. Now we're diving a little bit deeper. We're what they call peeling back the onion, right? Or maybe someone seems frustrated. You're reading the body language. You can see it. You can see the grimace. You can see the frown on the face, whatever it might be. They're showing you signs they're frustrated, but they're not telling you why. Tell me more about that. Maybe a direct report shrugs something off that clearly matters. They need to care more about it. That's your cue. These are cues that your team is giving you that it is time to use this phrase. And when you're seeing these cues, you pause and you simply say, tell me more about that. Think about all the scenarios that play out that this phrase could unlock new dimensions for you as a leader. Let's say that a team member says, hey, yeah, boss, I guess the meeting went fine. You could nod, move on. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for letting me know. You just asked this person, hey, how did the meeting go? And they're like, yeah, I guess it went fine. You know what you're thinking as a leader? What does fine mean? I don't understand what fine is. Don't you want to know? And sometimes what you might literally say is, what's fine? That could come off a little bit condescending. Now, look, you might parade that around as, I'm just being candid. I want to know what fine means. Suit yourself. What I am telling you is, your words carry weight. They carry power. The alternative is, you could pause and you could say, tell me more about that. The meeting went fine. Tell me more about that, Brad. 9 times out of 10, they're going to start opening up. They might say, well, honestly, I felt like in the meeting this morning with the team, I felt like my opinion didn't matter much. I kept getting cut off by other people on the team. You even interrupted me once. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Now what they've invited us to do in this moment is lead them. That moment, it's valuable. That moment, it doesn't happen unless you create this kind of space with this kind of a phrase. Leadership is about connection. It's never, ever going to be about control. It's not about having all the answers. You're not going to ever have all the answers. What it is about is asking the right questions. So here's your challenge this week. The next time someone shares something, anything, don't just jump in. Don't just respond. Don't be the leadership vending machine. Just say these 5 words. Tell me more about that. And then listen. Let them talk. You might be surprised at what they hear. I hope this added value to you, because here's what I know about great leadership. Great leadership isn't always the loudest person in the room. Sometimes it's just one intentional phrase at the very right moment that can literally change everything. Tell me more about that. Write it down. Use it. Watch how it changes the depth of your leadership and the level of conversations that you have with your team. If this episode hit home, I want to ask you one big favor. Share it with someone who you know is passionate about influencing other people. Until next week, use the words that you know are going to create trust and keep turning that pressure into potential.
The Champion Forum Podcast with Jeff Hancher. Lead, inspire, win.